Tonight, school children ambushed by a grizzly bear. A nightmare confrontation on a class walk in British Columbia.
This incident is distressing for the community.
And the quick-thinking heroics of teachers. A family's fury over the prison transfer of a notorious Canadian killer.
They suffered enormously, and they suffered because of him.
And small acts of kindness making a big impact on strangers.
It kind of became my mission to encourage others to go for what they wanted.
How a father-son duo transformed pain into a meaningful mission.
I just want the world to be happier.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Heather Wright.
Good evening. We have developing news tonight. A preliminary deal between Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. We will dig into that story in a moment, but we begin with a shocking story out of BC, where nearly a dozen people, including children, have been injured by a grizzly bear. CTV's Craig Krause is in Bella Coola, where the attack happened and where a community has been left shaken. Craig, what is the latest there?
Heather, this small community is traumatized. We saw multiple residents of this small community consoling each other in parking lots throughout the day as they try to get over this pain. I did speak to the grandmother of one of the young girls who was attacked by that grizzly bear yesterday afternoon. Take a listen to this.
The hardest thing was seeing what the bear had done to my granddaughter, her tiny little body. And to tell you the truth, I don't even think I would be that brave. She woke up once and she said, "Is Auntie Joyce okay?" It's one of the education assistants. And I said, "Yeah." She asked about you, and she asked about all her other friends, and she was more worried about all her friends than herself.
And Juliana remains in hospital in Vancouver undergoing surgery. She is one of 4 people involved in this attack, an adult that many in this community are praising for his efforts, along with other teachers. The Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, addresses today at a press conference. Here he is now.
I want to thank the teachers for their heroism, their early accounts of their willingness to confront this vicious animal. And I want to send my heart out to the parents and the kids and the loved ones of everyone who's been injured, who's in hospital right now, and I hope for their quick recovery.
Conservation officers say this grizzly bear that's in question was priorly injured in an earlier attack. They remain looking for this bear. The First Nation here is asking everyone to stay indoors tonight, as well as not be going into the forest to look for this bear themselves. Heather?
Just heartbreaking. CTV's Craig Krause in Bella Coola, British Columbia tonight. Thanks for this, Craig. To developing news now, and word that after 2 years of contentious bargaining, Canada Post has reached a contract agreement in principle with thousands of its unionized workers. The National Mail Carrier and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers both confirming tonight that the outlines for a deal are in place, though collective agreements have yet to be finalized. As those details are being hammered out, Canada Post says all strike and lockout activity will be suspended, but the Postal Union in its own statement said, quote, "The union will retain the right to strike until new agreements are ratified." There is outrage tonight over the transfer of Ontario serial killer Della Millard from a maximum security prison to a medium security one. CTV's John Venevali-Rao explains.
Della Millard is one of the country's most notorious killers, who murdered not only a former girlfriend, Laura Babcock, but also his own father and Tim Bosma, a complete stranger who was selling a pickup truck. After first being convicted almost a decade ago, Millard's been kept in a maximum security jail. But now Bosma's family say they've been notified he's been moved to medium security. In a statement, the family wrote, "We are disgusted by the news," calling Millard a psychopath monster, and writing Corrections Canada disregarded the feedback provided by our families in response to the possibility of such a move. They went on to say it's an abhorrent transgression, offending all manner of common sense.
Medium security does mean you have greater ability to interact with other prisoners, you have greater ability to engage in correctional programs, but it's no cakewalk, right? It's not like going to day camp.
Experts say it is understandable that the families of the victims would be upset, but say an eventual move to medium security is typical in a system designed with the idea that inmates may eventually be released. There was national outrage 2 years ago over a similar transfer involving serial killer Paul Bernardo. In a statement, the Correctional Service wrote, "We engage with victims at various points of an offender's sentence and provide them with opportunities to voice their concerns, which are considered. Adding, in all our decisions, public safety remains our paramount consideration." Experts say whether a prisoner remains in maximum or medium security is largely dictated by the risk they pose to other inmates and the public, and not the crimes they committed.
They're still locked up and safe from the community and not likely to escape.
As for Millard, corrections officials say he will be eligible to apply for day parole in 2036 and full parole in 2039. John Vanavelli-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister has begun the next leg of his international trip, touching down in South Africa this afternoon. Mark Carney arrived in Johannesburg earlier today, where he'll attend the G20 summit, a visit that comes on the heels of his trip to the United Arab Emirates, where he secured a pledge for billions of dollars in investments into several Canadian industries. Forging a stronger economic relationship with the UAE is among the steps Canada is taking as it looks to diversify its trade relationships. CTV's Rachel Aiello is traveling with the Prime Minister and breaks down the impact of this deal.
Over the next year, we will take significant measures to elevate our relationship.
Starting his day speaking to a crowd of Emirati and Canadian business leaders, Prime Minister Mark Carney said his government is ready to start reaping the benefits of strengthened trade and commercial ties between the two countries.
On the surface, to the uninitiated, Canada and the UAE can appear as different as snow and sand. Yet we're deeply aligned. At our core, we're both trading nations.
At the business summit, Carney highlighted how both nations are in a position to lead the global clean energy transition and previewed a new agreement to expand critical mineral processing capacity in Canada.
This is a new chapter in our relationship, a new chapter in our partnership.
And the Prime Minister's sales pitch seems to have landed. According to a senior government official, the Emiratis have committed to invest more than $90 billion in Canada, the majority coming from sovereign wealth funds.
This is really important to AI infrastructure build out, data centers, mining projects, infrastructure. Everything that Canada wants to build will need a large amount of money, and the UAE is a good starting point for that.
Delegations from both nations will also be exchanging additional visits in the next year. Trips made easier by Canada and the UAE confirming more direct commercial flights are coming. Carney then set off to South Africa, where he's attending the G20 Leaders Summit over the next 2 days. While here on the sidelines of the summit, Carney will be trying to advance trade talks with other world leaders, including India's Prime Minister. Heather?
Rachel Aiello in South Africa. Thanks, Rachel. The U.S. president appeared to walk back his demand for Democratic veterans in Congress to be executed for what he called seditious behavior. In a radio interview with Fox News, Donald Trump said he wasn't threatening 6 Democrats with death, but thinks they are in serious trouble for a video they made telling military members to refuse illegal orders.
This is perhaps the most reckless, irresponsible thing that he has done all Congress, and it's going to get a lot of us killed.
A Democratic member of Congress says he felt so threatened by Trump's words, he has called for a police investigation. For months, Donald Trump warned New York voters against electing Zohran Mamdani, a politician the president has called a communist. The two have traded insults over the last year, Mamdani calling Trump a fascist and a despot. But their volatile relationship took a decidedly different tone today during an Oval Office meeting. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbin on what happened.
After months of slinging mud at each other and bracing for a brawl, there were handshakes, smiles, even jokes.
He's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works.
Talk about political oddfellows. The U.S. president who called New York's mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani a communist lunatic nutjob seemed, well, charmed.
We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with.
And Mamdani, who skewered the president during his campaign over ICE immigration raids, inflation and corruption, he couldn't be more gracious.
He said it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers.
The president seemed almost starstruck over Mamdani's rise, a Democratic socialist who won in a landslide. Clearly impressed him.
He came out of nowhere. I watched. I said, who is this guy?
After blasting each other for months, Trump threatening to withhold federal funding from New York, Mamdani a thorn in Trump's side, all in the past, it seems.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
A shocking shift in tone, trading insults for compliments.
We're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
The president says he'll be cheering for the new mayor he once warned would destroy New York, and says he'd be quite comfortable living there again. Heather?
Joy Malbin, thanks for this tonight. And a surprise announcement this evening as well. Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced she is resigning from Congress in January. The Georgia Republican was once one of Trump's most loyal supporters, but recently has been fiercely at odds with the president. In explaining her decision, Greene says she has always felt, quote, despised in Washington and just never fit in. Well, Ontario police say they've uncovered a copper theft ring northwest of Toronto, seizing a large quantity of copper wire along with guns, ammunition, and drugs. Now, the price of the metal is near record highs, and this has led to an increase in thefts across the country. Here's CTV's Paul Hollingsworth on the danger and impact of these brazen thefts.
Thieves in northern Nova Scotia are brazenly climbing power poles and stealing copper wires, which is not only illegal, but also dangerous given the high voltage.
But I do know there's been some people that have stolen them right from the, what do they call, relay station?
Copper theft in this part of the province is so common, police are busier than ever before, responding to more than 70 calls this year.
We are looking at calls weekly in relation to copper thefts.
Copper prices are at an all-time high. Large quantities can sell for thousands of dollars.
They're cutting lines right off power poles. They're removing it from the site and bring it to a secondary site where they're burning the plastic coating off of the wires.
Recent copper wire theft has resulted in numerous power outages, including disruptions in Wi-Fi and telephone service, which meant some 911 calls could not be placed.
You should be able to have 24-hour access and not have to worry about, if something's going to happen, you can't get a hold of them.
The RCMP is urging people to report any suspicious activity to help them track down copper thieves.
We've identified a number of different groups, I'll say, that are involved in this. And of that, we've made arrests on 3 of the different groups.
The RCMP also say people who run scrap metal yards and recycling depots in this community have been helpful.
These metal recyclers have to take a name and a license plate from people turning in copper wire.
Corporal Terry Brown says this practice has helped the RCMP make progress in numerous investigations in several communities. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Debert, Nova Scotia.
Coming up, facing off with the nation's capital.
We'd like to find a solution that works for us to stay in Ottawa, but, the city hasn't made it easy for us.
Why one of Canada's newest hockey teams is at odds with the city it calls home. A showdown over seats. Ottawa's professional women's hockey team is getting a new rink, but with far fewer seats than their current capacity. The Ottawa Charge says the reduction is unacceptable given its growing fan base. Here's CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
Welcome inside TD Place Arena.
There's an off-ice face-off playing out in the capital.
Two teams, one goal.
A battle between Ottawa's professional women's hockey team and the city over how many fans should be able to attend the action-packed games.
We certainly don't want to leave Ottawa. We chose Ottawa for a reason, and the fans have been wonderfully supportive of us there. And we'd like to find a solution that works for us to stay in Ottawa, but, the city hasn't made it easy for us, and it's disappointing.
The City of Ottawa has approved a $419 million plan to renovate the aging portions of Lansdowne Park. As part of that redevelopment, the team would get a new rink. The arena where the Charge currently play would go from about 8,200 guests to about 6,600 in the new facility. Last season, the team averaged 6,592 fans over 12 home games.
It could be on an upward trajectory. It could be kind of sustain where it's at right now. Bottom line is, if it stays where it is right now, a new arena that they would move into in 3 years from now would not meet the current demand for the amount of tickets.
The PWHL says its players won't skate at the new arena unless more seats are added. The city, meanwhile, has said adding more capacity could cost as much as $100 million and would likely delay the overall project that could break ground later this year.
I'm sure there are solutions, and the conversations are going to continue. The negotiations are going to continue. This is about a lease negotiation, and I want to respect the process.
The Ottawa Charge have one more year left on their lease. If they choose to re-sign, the team would continue playing in their current arena until the new, smaller arena is ready in 2028. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
For the third straight weekend, a Saskatchewan football team is vying for a national championship. And as Alison Bamford explains, if the team walks away with a win, Saskatchewan will achieve something no other province has ever done.
The final practice ahead of Saturday's U Sports National Football Championship. On the line for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, the Vanier Cup and a chance to make history.
I've played a lot of football games on this field, and just knowing what it's going to be like, knowing what the stadium's like, I feel like that contributes to playing here. And I'm overall, and staying in Saskatchewan, what more could you ask for? So it's very exciting.
If they beat Montreal, the province will complete a quadruple sweep of Canadian football championships this year.
There'll definitely be some challenges there, but nothing we can't overcome.
The winning streak kicked off with the Saskatoon Valkyries.
A dynasty continues.
Taking home a fifth straight Western Women's Canadian Football League title in June. Then came the Saskatoon Hilltops junior squad in dramatic fashion.
And this one is good.
Followed by the Grey Cup champions.
And Grey has just turned green and white.
That leaves the Huskies to finish the job, something never done before.
We know the quality of coaches that we have from the grassroots level all the way up to post-secondary levels and the elite teams here, the Hilltops, the Huskies, the Valkyries. I mean, they all have that championship pedigree and just, punch above their weight.
That success starts right here at the grassroots level. Saskatoon Minor Football says they had more than 7,000 participants register this year, a number that's grown every year for the last decade and will likely continue after this season's championship performances. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, from football to tennis, and a rising Canadian star has another honor tonight to add to her growing collection of accolades. Victoria Mboko received the key to her hometown tonight, the city of Burlington, Ontario. The 19-year-old caught the attention of the tennis world last summer at the National Bank Open in Montreal when she beat top-seeded Coco Gauff. Mboko won a second title earlier this month and is currently ranked number 18 in the world. Still ahead, a modern-day treasure. The High-Flying Sum, this comic book from the 1930s, just brought in at auction. A frightening and tragic scene today at an air show in Dubai. Spectators watched in horror as a combat plane from India appeared to lose control, diving toward the ground before exploding in a ball of flame. The pilot was killed and the crash is now under investigation. The Pope gave a group of teenagers some advice today when it comes to using artificial intelligence.
In your education, make the most of this time.
AI can process information quickly, but it cannot replace human intelligence. And don't ask it to do your homework for you.
Pope Leo delivered his remarks from the Vatican to 15,000 Catholic students attending an annual youth conference in Indianapolis. Well, a rare Superman comic is now the most expensive comic book ever sold. Superman #1 from 1939 just sold at auction for more than $9 million US. That's the highest price ever paid for a comic book, beating the record set by Action Comics #1, which was the first appearance of Superman. A family in California found the issue in excellent condition while cleaning out their attic. Still ahead, a viral sensation spreading joy. Why this father-son duo are handing out surprise gifts to strangers. Before we go tonight, we want to introduce you to a father and son who are going viral for spreading joy to strangers. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
Some holiday shoppers in Charlottetown left with more than they came for, an unexpected gift just for them. The presents are random acts of kindness by father and son duo Emil and John Goody.
I just want the world to be happier.
More than 400 of these moments later, they're not so random anymore. Emil started the Give Bliss movement to turn his pain into his purpose.
I had zero self-belief or self-esteem that I could accomplish anything. And once I figured out how big of a lie that was, it kind of became my mission to encourage others to go for what they wanted.
Now he's passing that mission on, helping John build his confidence one person at a time.
I've gotten way more better at speaking to strangers than I was in the past.
You might be wondering what's inside these gifts. Well, every single one comes with something sweet, maybe candy or chocolate, and a handwritten note filled with words of encouragement.
The pair posts the encounters on social media, and the reactions run the gamut, from pure delight
Thank you so much
to total shock.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Michael Baglol was walking home from work when Emil and John approached him.
It's that moment that someone recognizes you or just wants to talk to you for a minute. And they did pick a day where I was kind of, I was a little, I really could use it that day.
It got a lot of attention online, but the real measure, they say, is the impact. Emil and John have also made stops in Toronto and Montreal. Their dream is to take the movement across the country. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
And that's our show for this Friday. For all of us here at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.